is Shelby Thompson, and today I'm going to be talking to you about why I feel juveniles should be tried as adults. If you have a 16-year-old and they commit a serious crime, such as murder, and then you have an 18-year-old who commits the same crime, are they going to be tried the same? My answer for you is no. The 18-year-old is no longer a minor and is considered an adult, so he will be tried in a criminal court, whereas the 16-year-old will be tried in a juvenile trial. Is this fair? Before you answer that, I'm going to tell you my answer, which is no, this is not fair at all. 2 years should not make that big of a difference. By the time you are 16, you should be able to know what is right and what is wrong. I have 3 main points that I would like to talk with you guys about today, and they are, if teens can do the crime, then they should be able to do the time. We wouldn't let adults go with a slap on the wrist. And what if your family was involved? My first main point, if teens can do the crime, then they should be able to do the time. Fair punishment. The website, pbs.org, has posted an article about the recent legislation passed. This says that juveniles who commit serious crimes are being tried most of the time in a criminal court and not a juvenile trial. But then it also says that once they are serving these sentences, they are let off with a fraction of the time, which is even less than they would be serving if they were tried in a juvenile trial. Is this fair? Not at all. This leads me into my second sub-point. Treating juveniles as adults could help reduce crime. PBS.org also published an article on this, saying that there have been studies done, and it has proven that if you tell a teen that if they commit this serious crime, they're going to go to jail, odds are they're going to be less likely to commit this crime. If I was on my phone not listening to my parents, and they said, hey, if you don't start listening to us, we're going to take your phone, I would be more apt to listen to them. And that is what the same example as if you tell juveniles are going to be tried as adults, then maybe they'll stop committing these crimes. This leads me into my second main point, which is we wouldn't let adults off with a slap on the wrist. A couple of towns over from my hometown, there was a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old, and the 18-year-old happened to be my friend. They were accused of having photos of people around the same age on their phones. And the 18-year-old is no longer a minor and is considered an adult. The 17-year-old, who is only a couple months shy of being 18, is not considered an adult yet, but had the same photos on their phone. The 18-year-old was tried with the most harsh punishment, which was possession of child pornography on their phone. Is this fair for one to get off with a lesser punishment than the other one? No, it's not fair at all. I did not want revenge over this other person, but justice. A couple of months in age should not make a difference, and they both should have been tried fairly. Adults versus teens. A scholarly article from Future of Children determines the difference between adults and juveniles. It says that in the earlier years, when such crimes would happen, such as murder caused by younger kids, they didn't go to court for that, but instead they decided there had to be some type of developmental or social deficit going on, and they sent them to hospitals to try to help them with their behavior. But now, if the crime is serious enough, they could possibly go to a criminal court. But why should we have to wait until the crime becomes serious enough for them to go to a criminal court? An adult doesn't have the choice. They're expected to know, hey, you commit this crime, you're going to prison. And so should someone who's 17, 16, or 15 years old. As I'm saying is, they should be able to take responsibility for their actions just as any other person would be expected of. They wouldn't get off with a slap on the wrist. This leads me to my third main point, my third and final main point. And if you aren't convinced yet, then let me bring your family into the situation. What if your family was involved? I myself lost a family member to a 17-year-old who was texting and driving. It was an average day, and I came home. I went to school, I came home, and my parents were waiting for me. Everything seemed fine, and we had supper together. my parents sat me down and told me that one of my cousins had been hit by a car by a person who was texting and driving, and my cousin had lost their life. I was devastated, but since the driver was only 17 years old, they were not charged for full punishment. Again, I was not looking for revenge, but justice. I didn't think it was fair for somebody who was so close to being an adult to be let off easy when they knew what they're doing was wrong. Texting and driving is illegal in most states. Another example is Christian Fernandez. The website jjie.org had an article written by news reporter Tamar Burkhead. The article is about a boy named Christian Fernandez who is 12 years old and beat his 2-year-old brother to death. As you may all know, that is a very serious crime, and he was tried as an adult, but he also was let off with a fraction of his time. 12 years old is a young age, and maybe there was something else going on with Christian, if he had a deficit, developmental or social, but it still was wrong for him to get off on his time for what he did. How would you feel if that happened to someone in your family? The conclusion here is that a minor, a juvenile, should not be let off on a shorter time than an adult. By the time you're 15, you should know what is right and what's wrong. We are all taught growing up what is right and what is wrong, and you should know better than to commit serious crimes such as robbery or murder. And if you want to make a change, then now is the time. There are so many ways you can get involved. Maybe not directly with changing the laws, but voicing your opinion. I know there is actually a club on my campus that is about raising the awareness of juveniles being tried as adults. All you have to do is sign up or speak out, really. By doing this, by joining a club, by taking a stand, you're not only making your community a better place for yourself, it's safer for your family and all the other families involved. If you have any other questions, I found it very helpful to ask around campus. Thank you.